With the Euros coming to an end, Arsenal are starting to be busy in the transfer window, with big updates on potential outcomings and incomings that are getting closer to joining the squad. In this video, we're going to go through all the latest Arsenal news and the biggest updates within the squad right now. So let's get into it. Now first, I think it's good to have a little update on Riccardo Calafiori. Now I'm guessing you all know the news by now that we have been linked with this guy. We are in talks with the club and have already agreed a proposal with the player. Now I did a video about why I think he's perfect for Arsenal before these rumours even came out, so if you want to go and check that out, please do. And overall, I expect this deal to go through, but obviously you can't be sure until it is officially confirmed. We have still not agreed a deal with Bologna, who want £43 million, about 50 million euros, but I think we will get to that fee in the next few days when Arsenal are maybe forced into a decision a little bit more. But other than Calafiori, there's not been too much news about incoming so far. I still feel like Arsenal are looking at the market and waiting for Euros and Copa America to end to really go out and get a midfielder or maybe even an attacker. But we have more news on what Arsenal are going to do about their goalkeeper situation. Now, we've been through the links before with Arsenal obviously looking at different goalkeepers, mostly people that can catch from good crosses or someone who is young and can be bought on a cheap, even being homegrown. And it looks like Arsenal are moving into that homegrown perspective, because David Ornstein has reported that Arsenal are in contact with Wolves to express interest in signing Dan Bentley. Now, Dan Bentley was actually an Arsenal Academy player before he left, and he's had a relatively good career playing for Southend United, Brentford and Bristol City a lot. Now, he's joined Wolves in 2023 and hasn't played in the Premier League, and I think if Arsenal are rumoured this interest to be concrete, which I expect it to be from David Ornstein, it seems like a signing that would never actually really play for Arsenal. This is because Arsenal are obviously rumoured to get Dan Bentley because of his English nationality, and apparently he can be a very good character. Now, while this is not necessarily an interesting signing because he probably never played, this is a signing that is quite relative and quite needed in big teams in the Premier League. We see people like Tom Heaton at Manchester United or even Scott Carson at Manchester City. These are the third choice goalkeeper that never actually plays, but they're an old head who is usually quite well with younger players and developing and also helping around with the coaching perspective, and they're also very good for the homegrown rule. And if you're not familiar with the homegrown rule, in the Premier League, every team is allowed up to 25 players within their squad, and 17 of them can be considered non-homegrown. Now, this is obviously players that haven't developed through the English system or who aren't English. So you're given about 8 players that you're allowed to have that in that system in the first place. Now, if you don't even have a squad of 25, players that are not in it aren't considered to be part of it. And to be considered homegrown, a player must be in an English team's squad for at least 3 years before the age of 21. So this is often why you see a lot of teams sign 18-year-olds from other countries to try and get them homegrown before they're 21. Now, this could be another good signing because it helps morale in the back room, which is something that Arteta considers very high, and he's only actually worth 2 mil on transfer market. Now, I know that Wolves want a little bit of money because they want to be able to reinvest that, but you should be able to get him for a really reasonable price that shouldn't put dent or go into our transfer budget too much or help in the homegrown talent. Now, of course, if we are talking about a homegrown talent spot being taken by another goalkeeper and we are considering Dan Bentley, then we've got to consider outgoings as well. If these two players are to join, there are going to have to be some players that leave, and Aaron Ramsdale is still someone that I think the club expect to sell, and hopefully they get suitors very soon. I'm not sure if I see many ways that he can leave the club right now, because I think most clubs that you would consider him going to, such as Chelsea or Newcastle, have even solved their issue by buying another goalkeeper, or they've said they don't want to buy one, which does put a lot of good moves out for Ramsdale, especially because he is homegrown, so he would have been a great option for English teams specifically. Now, there may always be a time in the market, especially after Euros when he's back for England, that big offers come in, or at least offers that we can sell him for valid, and I think Arsenal are still confident in that, so that's something that could still happen later on. But at the moment, it's not necessarily guaranteed, and we don't really see where that's going to come from. Another player's future that is definitely up in the air right now is Jakub Kiwior. If Calafiori is to sign for the club, you have to think he's going to replace what Kiwior brings to the team. Jakub Kiwior was brought in to be that left centre-back, left-back replacement that could invert in the left-back role. Now, that hasn't really worked, despite him obviously being good in the adaptation role that we used when Ben White inverted inside. He is not the best inverter player, and he's not the best player on the ball. And more importantly, Kiwior can be a solid defender, and I think he looks better in a back three for Poland, or even a back two, which is not really going to be where he would play if we were to get Calafiori in. This means that Arsenal, which Fabrizio Romano is reporting, that are open for Jakub Kiwior to leave in case of a good proposal. Apparently there's a possibility for a loan, but only with a mandatory buy option, which Italian clubs love. They do it all the time. Expect him to go out maybe on a loan, but people to buy him permanently after it. Now, I think Kiwior may have not worked completely at Arsenal, but I still think in clubs such as the Serie A teams would definitely be interested. Teams like Milan have been interested in before, and Juventus, who didn't actually get Calafiori because we potentially might be getting it, may go in for Kiwior as a good backup. This would potentially give us some money, but I do think rumours with the loan mandatory buy option, it might give us a bit of money for next summer if not. I do think a 25 mil, maybe 20 mil deal, about how much we spent on him, probably can be expected for the player, and there's definitely going to be suitors for someone of his technique and brilliant defending that he can bring to a defensive league. And the other main player that is getting considered to be transferred recently out of the team and could be something that happens sooner rather than later is Emil Smith-Rowe. There's been more murmurs that teams like Fulham and Brentford are really interested in signing him, and I think Arsenal are believing a deal around 25 to 30 mil could be enough to get him out. Now, we spoke about him in the last update video, so everyone knows my opinions and what's going on with the player, but I think it's the right amount of money that we could expect from him, and when we're signing Calafiori for 40 mil, it's not too much more, so it kind of can replace that, so we can still bring another midfielder and another attacker in. And now the transfer window is liven up a little bit, Arsenal are starting to actually get rid of their team. Now, there's been a few sales already on contracts being left and a few little deals there and here, with one of them being Amaro Koiza-Duberry finally going to Brighton. Now, it was rumoured and it was reported that he wasn't going to sign a new deal at Arsenal, and he has decided to join Brighton, which I think is actually a very good choice for his career, as he's probably not got a direct involvement within the first team because he is behind Saka. Someone else that has also left is, of course, Mika Berif. That has been very well reported, and he has left for around a €4 million deal to Sturm Graz, who is on loan at last season. Now, it has been a very slow window because of the European Championship and the Copa America going on, but with them finishing soon, with the Copa America finishing in a few weeks and the European Championship finishing next week, I think we will see Arsenal accelerate a lot of their moves, and we'll see at least a lot of sales and incomings come in a very short amount of time, because you know Arteta likes doing it really before we get pre-season underway or we are fully done with it. Hopefully we can get Calafiori finished soon, because then we can focus on other parts of the team which are probably more needed, and also be able to sell players like Kiwior or Ramsdale to even generate funds or give the space for the players that we have signed to actually get into the team. Let me know in the comments who you think Arsenal should go for. I think the midfield's the biggest thing right now. Who and what midfielder should we sign? And who else do you think Arsenal will actually go for in this window? Because I think we've been very close to our chest, and while I have some ideas about potentially who we could sign and who we're going to go for, it's obviously not come to fruition just yet. Let me know in the comments what you think about Arsenal's transfer policy, if you think we should sign certain players, and what you think about the sales and rumours that have already happened. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.